applicant apologized to Deputy IGP and 2 others for public embarrassment in ongoing contempt case over land dispute. In business, President John Dramani Mahama calls on African leaders to advance beyond exporting raw materials.
We must move beyond being exporters of raw material to become producers of finished goods, whether it is cocoa in Ghana.
And on the international front, South African leaders have agreed to maintain peacekeeping forces in eastern DR Congo after Rwanda-backed rebels seized the regional hub. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Please stay with me. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. The news is coming to you live from our Platinum studio here in Accra, and it's also streaming live on Facebook at GHOne TV. Tonight, lawyers for the applicant who filed a contempt case against Deputy Inspector General of Police, IGP, Commissioner of Police, and 2 other senior officers have publicly apologized for the embarrassment caused. It was revealed in court that the contempt application, which had been widely reported in the media, had not been personally served to the Deputy IGP and the 2 officers as required by law. Now, during the hearing on Friday, January 31, lawyers representing the Deputy IGP and the senior officers led by GHOne informed the High Court that their client had only learned about the application through media report rather than an official service. Presiding Judge Justice Kenneth Edem cautioned that the case was sensitive and should not have been handled in a way that caused public embarrassment to the officers. Although the applicant's lawyers argued the application had been served on the Service Legal Directorate, they nonetheless extended a formal apology to the Deputy IGP and 2 senior officers. Meanwhile, the court has ruled that the senior officers are no longer required to appear in person for the case. Instead, they may be represented by designated junior officers whenever the case is called. The case has been adjourned to February 24, 2025. The applicant, Theophilus Tego, is asking the High Court, the Land Division, to hold the Deputy IGP and 2 senior police officers in contempt for allegedly assisting land guards in seizing his property at Adringano in Accra, while he's also seeking for committal to prison for this particular offense. Well, away from court-related issues, neglected tropical diseases remain a major health challenge in Ghana, impacting thousands and leading to severe health and socio-economic burdens. In the eastern region alone, over 1,400 suspected cases have been recorded across 4 districts. There's more on this report.
The implementation of 2-year partnership for the eradication of skin neglected tropical diseases project by ARC Development Organization with funding from ANESVAT recorded 1,453 suspected cases of skin NTDs in the 4 districts: Upper Menya Krobo, West Akem, Fantiakwa North, and Suhum. The project's areas. Suhum alone accounted for 604 cases, representing 41.7% of all reported cases. Skin NTDs such as Buruli ulcer, leprosy, yaws, and lymphatic filariasis cause severe disabilities and in extreme cases lead to death and economic impoverishment.
We're able to increase case detection, the communities in which we are operating the project, implementing the projects, also be able to provide direct support for some of the clients indirectly, also assisted them to get treatment from the hospital.
The first phase of the project provided direct wound care to 453 patients, referred 1,000 others to recorded 5 deaths and 3 amputations. David Quainin is project officer.
Indirectly, we also realized that the people referred to the system, over 50% of them were healed when we went to the field to visit them. We were able to also increase access to potable drinking water in 4 communities through the construction of 4 mechanized boreholes in Yonyom, Nyankumasi, the 2 in Upper Menya, and then Asarikwa at Fantiakwa North and Omame in Suhun municipality. Through the project, we were able to also build the capacity of health officers. We trained 80 health workers in wound management, which has increased their knowledge base in how to properly identify and classify cases and then give proper treatment to clients to avoid suffering and complications.
Many of the 238 affected children were out of school due to stigma and severity of their conditions.
She's a minor, and then she was suffering from a suspected use, and because of the condition, she had to stop schooling for 1 month because the stint from the source was too much and unbearable for the classmates. So the teachers advised that she has to leave the house until she recovers. So she was out of school for 1 month, which distorted his academic works and performance. So children being affected by yours is very disturbing because it affects them. They are learning everything. They cannot concentrate in class, which results in bad performance.
One of the major challenges in fighting skin NTDs is stigma. In some communities, these diseases are believed to be spiritual curses. Affected individuals being confined in shrines, prayer camps, or locked away in their homes.
Dede at Osnase, Nyankumase. Hers was a form of biliary ulcer, but she was taking it in a form of ritual something. We went to her several times, even asking her to come to the health facility for proper management. She was refusing, so we have to move to the community to help her, sometimes in the wound dressing and other stuff.
Despite these efforts, the fight against skin NTDs faces major obstacles. The Ghana Health Service lacks diagnostic tools for timely detection. There are no dermatologists in the eastern region, and delays in confirming cases mean many patients suffer complications before receiving treatment. Dr. Winfred Ofosu, Eastern Regional Director of Ghana Health Service, acknowledged these challenges.
What I believe that ACPANDC can do, particularly with ANESBAT, is to prompt them that the service hasn't got sufficient stocks of diagnostic tools so that they can provide those to Ghana Health Service or to specific regions where you are working, so that case finding, diagnosis will be synchronized.
The Executive Director of ARC Development Organization, Emmanuel Kwafuminta, says the second phase of the project will intensify case searches, advocacy, and community empowerment.
The water problem within some of the communities is very bad. So we are going to support them to raise funds to maintain some of their borehole that these are somewhere, and the other philanthropy have supported them to drill.
For GHOne TV and Star FM, Kojo Ansah, Eastern Region.
Well, away from the Eastern region, let's talk about water crisis in the Gomwa East District, because residents of Millennium City in the Gomwa East District are grappling with severe water crisis, forcing them to share water with cattle. For the past 5 months, residents have struggled to access clean drinking water, leaving them reliant on wells and other unhealthy sources. There's more in this report.
Mankrado of the area, Nana Otubwa Kwesi Gariba I, along with other residents, has expressed deep concerns over the severe impacts of the water crisis on their daily lives.
Before I got to Abanusamo, I think I cover inputting Hanoma. There's a neighbor can cry on and off. But I feel there, it's a time baby there. And Bakra, Kiakana, I appear, or Mudusu brain. Among monies come with things were brown so almost depend nearby dams or dams in one so then tune so continue so and Yaman will be a faithful until or you'll be asking your skull buttons to Tabandama. This time is your Baba or I'll share Coral and Sumner Malaya and Kaka.
Your Millennium City. Baby, a possibility in feel on a damn bureau and non I yes, sir. There's a bosumi sia and in the chicken yensu into your sense only be and only a digare and only a dinner and any a senabea. Yes, we are home toy. Nanso, then she near the full any police around the Nentia.
He called on the government to urgently intervene and resolve the crisis.
Well, this one is for our women, because are you aware that wearing the incorrect bra size can lead to serious health issues such as a curvature of the spine? A garment designed to offer support is now contributing to health problems for many women as they neglect to have their breast properly measured for the right bra. In this following report, Nana Ama-Akwa explores the phenomenon of wearing the wrong bra for the body types.
Do all women know their correct bra size?
My bra size is 32C.
I don't really know. No, I don't know my bra size.
Yes.
Are they even aware that the wrong bra size can affect their health, particularly their posture? Some people even believe that improper bras can lead to unattractive malformations of the breast.
My size doesn't fit my breast. The cup is small and my breast is bigger than the cup, and if I'm working, it shows up and I don't like it.
Some wear clothing that are transparent. You can see the mark of the bra.
You can see the bra is smaller than her breast, and then she's forcing to wear it. So, not presentable.
Dr. Na Ashile Ashiete, a chiropractor, confirms this, explaining that imbalanced bra straps or bras that are too tight or too loose can lead to serious health problems such as poor posture, rounded shoulders, and even severe conditions.
We wear bras every day. So if you don't wear the correct bra and if you're doing that 7 days a week, then over time you develop posture issues which can lead to wear and tear in the long run. And then that's when you have the spondylosis and other degenerative diseases that cause pain.
After living in the USA for many years as a licensed nurse, Juliet Jemfi returned to Ghana and launched Beautiful Beneath, a lingerie boutique specifically designed to help women find their correct bra size. Her aim is to help women avoid the discomfort and potential health issues associated with wearing the wrong bra.
If you're not wearing the right bras, the health implications. I said, if I get the opportunity to move back home, I'm going to have such an establishment as a safe haven for women to come in, get measured, and get all the benefits of wearing the right bra as compared to the disadvantages of not wearing the right bra and the health implications that will have on you as a lady. Because me, I've done this for so long, I'll just eyeball her and do a 32D.
She explains how bra measurements are performed.
All you need to know is like you get a snugness of here for support, whatever the amount you do. Then the cap goes to A, B, C, D, and you just get the coverage that you need, whatever coverage you need. If you do A, it's going to cover small. If you do B, it's going to cover more. So we go up to a J cap here, and we have M, O, we have the biggest size here. So whatever it's going to cover you. Forget about the alphabet. So far as you're covered, and that's how the coverage you want, and you're getting the support from the snugness, not for the pulling up your bra like this, and it's going to be comfortable for you and you're not going to have the back pain.
One customer shared her joy at being measured.
I'm comfortable with this because I wasn't knowing my size, but this is good for me.
Celia visited Juliet's shop to purchase some lingerie and shared how wearing the wrong bra size, especially with a fuller bust, has affected her in the past.
I was always having issues on my back because I didn't have the right bra. I didn't know it was because of that, but then it ended up realizing that it was because of that. I wasn't so busty, but then getting to high school, puberty hits, and I used to have a lot of trouble finding my actual bra size, because usually you'd go to town with your mom and then you just try it on, and then if it fits, you have to buy it. Like, that's what it is. So I found my bra size, my actual bra size, later when I traveled to the UK, and I went into an actual lingerie shop. They did my measurements, and I was able to find out my actual bra size, which was far off from the bras that I was wearing.
As Juliet's business has grown, she has expanded her offerings to cater to women with larger breast sizes, as well as those who have had mastectomies, ensuring that all women can feel comfortable and supported in their everyday lives. It is recommended for women to get their bra size measured accurately to avoid unnecessary medical issues caused by an ill-fitting bra.
This is the size of the bra itself. That's the 34, the number. So you get the number here. Okay. Yours is 34. Then when you come up, we got 40 here.
Nonama Akwa reporting for GHOne TV.
Quite informative there, but this is still news tonight here on GHOne television. We'll be back with our biggest story for tonight. You're welcome back. This is News Tonight here on GHOne television. My name is Awisi Dede Djangay. Well, this week's ministerial vetting in Ghana's parliament was nothing short of dramatic. With key moments making headlines, the process was filled with tension, surprises, and even chaos. From prolonged grilling of nominees to shocking disruption, this was a week to remember. Here's a full story.
The vetting process kicked off with some nominees enduring hours of questioning by members of Parliament's Appointments Committee. This revealed a stark contrast in how different nominees were treated. While some were grilled for hours, others were subjected to little scrutiny, sparking debate about inconsistencies in the process. Defense Minister Designate Dr. Omane Boama was grilled for a marathon session lasting over 4 hours. Communications Minister Designate Sam George endured a similar fate, with the vetting session lasting a little over 5 hours. And Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, a nominee for Foreign Affairs, went through an intense 6-hour session, the longest vetting of the week.
That the fact that I'm grilling you does not mean that when you get there and you are supposed to give protocol allocation, you deny me. I'm telling you.
Proper SIM re-registration again. But this time, nobody's going to queue because common sense will prevail, expertise will prevail, and logic will work.
Even though we are promoting democracy and we have all said no to coups, we face serious threats. The threat of violent extremism.
On the flip side, Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Oklu had one of the shortest vettings in history. Her session lasted under 6 minutes, with literally no questions asked.
You've conducted yourself well in Parliament. You are a respected colleague. I don't see why Honorable Doyo to be so close to you as if there's going to be a problem. I have some few questions for you, which may take some 2 hours, but don't panic. Don't panic. By your good conduct, I'm sure we will reserve those questions for another day. Congratulations. I don't have the power to discharge you, but I'm sure Chairman is going to discharge you. Have a blessed evening.
Honorable Minister nominee, you will surely hear from the committee. You are hereby discharged.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the most talked about moments was when activist Oliver Bakavomawo appeared before the committee. His time in the hot seat was contentious, and he later had to issue a public apology addressing controversial social media posts that sparked outrage.
My post was not intended to disparage members of the committee, and I have not intended to say that members of this committee have received or demanded bribes from various individuals. At no point was my statement intended to communicate same, and for those reasons, I apologize.
But it wasn't just the vetting process or Bakavomawa's appearance that caught attention. A heated disagreement on Thursday night, leading to chaos in the committee's conference room. Members of Parliament clashed over the number of nominees to be vetted that day, resulting in the breaking of microphones and tables.
NDC is always up to intimidating people. They think that they must always bully. We will not accept any bully. They can call us micro-minority. They can say whatever they want to say. We've been cooperating with them. Today we agreed to do 3. The clerk to the committee is a partisan clerk. All the practice has always been that chairman ranking would agree as to who and who will come. Yesterday there was no agreement.
As you can see, we would have continued
but logistically, it is no longer possible to continue. Logistically, the microphones have all been destroyed.
The chairman of the committee struggled to maintain control as the situation spiraled out of hand. However, the MPs responsible for the chaos were not left off lightly.
Not a single pesewa of public funds shall be used to repair or replace any damaged property. Instead, members found responsible shall be surcharged for the full cost of repair.
Well, the minority in Parliament has rejected Speaker of Parliament's suspension of 3 members from parliamentary proceedings for 2 weeks. The suspension of the MPs follows violent confrontation at the Appointments Committee on Thursday, January 30, over the vetting of ministerial nominees for Health and Foreign Affairs, Kwabena Mita Kando and Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. These members are Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre, first-time MP Jerry Ahmed, the second Minority Whip, and Member of Parliament for Kushegu Al-Hassan Suleimana. Majority Chief Whip Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpa was also suspended alongside the 3. In a statement released today, the Minority Caucus strongly opposed the Speaker's decision, describing it as politically motivated and an abuse of power. The Minority Caucus further asserted that Parliament must uphold democratic principles and ensure fairness in its proceedings. And you can see on the screen there a projected excerpt of the statements from the minority there. Let's have a conversation on this particular matter because it's quite topical. Let's engage a former ranking member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, who is also a former MP for Tamale Central, Alhaji Inusa Fuseini. Good to have you, sir, on the program. The recent chaos during the vetting process has sparked debate, heated debate. First of all, what is your general take on the situation?
The recent orderly conduct exhibited by the members of Parliament and the Appointments Committee meeting is implies the maturity and level of impunity that has characterized some behavior of some members of Parliament. Disorder has. I mean, you cannot solve a physical thing. What ought to be solved is debate. I mean, and in democracy, and consensus that should guide the affairs of Parliament. And so, for members of Parliament to engage in that level of orderly conduct is not only disappointing, but is contemptuous of Parliament.
Right. But the Speaker's decision to suspend these 4 MPs has also been widely criticized. I'm sure you've seen that as well, especially from the minority on the grounds of illegality and abuse of power. Well, given your experience in the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, do you think the Speaker overstepped his authority or the suspension is justifiable?
Well, looking to the relevant provisions of the law that makes Parliament and the conduct of members of Parliament. And I'm sorry to say that I have not seen any power in the Speaker to do what he has done. The nearest power the Speaker has for disorderly conduct is when the disorderly conduct is before him. That is when for Parliament, or when a member of Parliament or minister or engage in disorderly conduct before the Speaker, and upon the many admonitions and exhortations, the member or minister or deputy minister still refuses or neglects to heed to the calls of the speaker to engage in orderly conduct. The speaker has power to suspend the member, minister, or deputy minister from Parliament for 4 sitting days. And if the disorderly conduct continues for 8 days, and where it continues for 12 days. And so I have not seen a provision that says that the speaker can, assuming that conduct that was exhibited at the appointment committee's meeting is disorderly conduct to the extreme. I do not see where the speaker derived this power to suspend those people engaged in that disorderly conduct for the number of days that they have been suspended.
So in essence, you're saying, I struggle to hear the latter part of your submission, but just to put you on record, you're saying that the speaker's decision to suspend them was the right step in the right direction. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the speaker can suspend for disorderly conduct executed before him. And when that is done, he can suspend for 8 days or 12 days, depending on the number of times that the disorderly conduct occurred. And so, I don't see anywhere in the standing orders, particularly in the new standing orders, where the speaker can suspend for the number of days the speaker suspend members of Parliament.
Before I let you go, the minority has rejected this. I mean, beyond the rejection, what other avenues do you think the minority can explore as far as this matter is concerned?
Well, so I think the minority can test the matter in court and see whether the speaker has got that power to suspend them for the number of days he has suspended them. But if you go on the doctrine of necessity, the speaker will argue that he took that decision to restore dignity and sanctity of Parliament, and that it is within his general mandate to maintain order in Parliament. I think that would be the argument of the speaker. But we have to try it and see. We have to test it and see, because the speaker actually is a presiding officer. He's not a member of Parliament. And if you look at the rules, where draconian sentences have to be taken, they have to be taken by Parliament, and that through parliamentary committees, and that is the Committee on Privileges, must sit down, deliberate on the matter, make recommendations, and that recommendations will be debated on the floor of the House before a decision is taken.
Right. Thank you so much, former ranking member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, and also the former MP for Tamale Central, Alhaji Inusa Hussaini. But let's stay on this matter, engage the thought of a parliamentary CSO and Executive Director of Parliamentary Network Africa, Sami Obeng, joins me on phone. Sami, good to have you on the program. You heard Inusa Hussaini's submission on what is happening. What is your stance on this particular matter as far as the chaos is concerned?
Well, the chaos was most unfortunate, very regrettable. We have always maintained that the shadows from the past will always have a way to haunt the Parliament of Ghana if not dealt with conclusively. Because when it happened 4 years ago, and it continued during the tenure of the 8th Parliament, Parliament did not take addressing the matter seriously. And that's where we are seeing that members of Parliament, including new members, feel emboldened, to want to still continue with these kinds of situations, even when it continue with these kinds of situations, even when it is not proper. And so there was a need for Parliament to crack the whip. And for me, I think that should be decided by the Speaker in cracking the whip was appropriate. Yes, we can continue to have the conversation around whether that approach is in line with our laws, whether it is allowable and all of that. But fortunately, Parliament and the system in the country provide ways these things can be appealed through. I mean, you can appeal the decision of the Speaker on the floor, and through a motion, there are other things available to members of Parliament. So all of those can be explored. But I think the most important thing is that Parliament was degenerating. Members of Parliament had gotten into a misbehavior mood, and it was important that some sanctions were meted out so people will know that it is not a free-for-all kind of situation.
Right. But Sami, beyond the sanction, I mean, chaos in Parliament is nothing new. We saw the ballot paper, the ballot box snatching, and we are now seeing overturning of tables. Is there mechanism in existence in Parliament, or should we put in mechanism to ensure that future occurrences would not happen, beside the Speaker of Parliament sanctioning them with a suspension?
Well, there are mechanisms already. The mechanisms are clearly stated in Parliament's own code of conduct. Mechanisms are clearly stated. Some of them are clearly stated in the standing orders of Parliament. Some of them are clearly stated in the Parliament Act and all of those places. The thing we have not done in the past, which has emboldened members of Parliament to continue to misbehave, is that nobody has taken these things forward. Enforcement has been lacking. And that's where the gap is. And so if Parliament will now enforce its own rules, enforce its own, processes, codes around these matters, members of Parliament, including new members of Parliament, will know that this is not how you behave in this place, because there are clearly spelled out ways of dealing with you when you behave that way. If you look at the videos that are circulating, and for me, I'm hoping that the 10-member committee, the 7-member committee that has been set up with a 10-day mandate to produce a report with Honorable Djangay leading, would be able to identify some others. You'll see a good number of first-time MPs who thought that the only way that they could express themselves in such a situation was to push tables and to heckle each other in incredible ways. This is because they are we're not entertained because
we seem to be struggling to hear Sami's later submission, but that was Sami Obain. He is Executive Director for the Parliamentary Network Africa. But some Ghanaians are quite unhappy over the shocking scenes that occurred in Parliament, demanding stricter punishments for those involved. Senna has more in this.
Recently, Ghana's parliament witnessed chaos during a vetting session, leading to vandalism and a temporary suspension of the MPs involved. Now, this has sparked a nationwide discussion about discipline and the image of the legislative body. Today, we are hearing and engaging from the public to hear from them their thoughts on this incident and what can be done to uphold the dignity of Parliament.
I think it didn't order well, because even if there is misunderstanding between the political divide, I think there's room for them to settle it amicably. Whatever be the case, I think dialogue is the best. It's an embarrassment because a lot of people are watching, both the young and the old. So if a lot are looking up to some of these leaders and they end up doing this, I don't think it's the best. It's an embarrassment. 2 weeks to me is not enough. I feel they should be suspended indefinitely.
If you are doing this as a leader, then what about me as a citizen who is not a leader, learning from you as a leader? So I suggest something should be done about this. They should re-investigate and go further. If it is okay, that way I can't say they should continue or not. But if it is not, per my understanding, you see, human being is a human being. You may think it's okay, but tomorrow it will be something. How we understand it?
Se bibi kura na ade asem na ba munya nkwala ya nkwala mpo ya beti ya nwase na mo mpanyefo wei amu ya mu table amu speakers ni tutu nyama ni gu yes chese yes anyama mimi anya me fe uhwe pa na utiwo TV no na uhwe ne omo ye no eswa ya nyesa sasem mi chese sasem na ba mu ye mpanyefo mu na mopo mutu yefo na ade na mu ntimi hyam ho so esem hyam ho so mo bubu school for na ese omo bubu table na nya mu 2 weeks na no so mpanyefo mpanyi ya dia ya man 2 weeks man long way asambisa o mi bisa Ghana for asem mi bisa mpanyefo omo parliament ni se Saudi uyiri ya dan wo fe na uyiri apaja o TV wabubo no niama wo ho sitra wo di be yade wasanu light up wo di afhwefam then oba ya uyiri no obapam no e se oyo oba obesa ade mi si oyo oba obesa ya ade mi so mi oba nti se mi so mi ko yesa e se yapam mo go fie ho e se mi kru di mi ya bibi kitu e se mi se ni niama da nyina da bia mese no okotoba mese no nti atwi omo aso no ye omo di ma wo ne nurse
ye mpanifo a ye ne da ho se a nkwara wo hwe wo ho na wo ma abobra wo ayoman mu nti sa nko parliamentary sa nko ko a akwara bi jina no so ko a pani me no butu aka je se ade o ye ne ye nti be tumu na be speaker of parliament why ne de ye ebobu aye because ye de be adusua de aka me nkwa pan ko mo sak ko nkora wonu wo fon fi parliament wo because nya se bia ni because what to abama wase bra batena ho na ho hye mbra ma oman no na yeso yendi so na ho mu kra ho ko na yeso.
Well, you heard the reactions. Some say the MPs have disgraced the nation, and others say the 2-week suspension is not enough. Reporting for GHOne TV and Star FM, I'm Sena Ajato.
Well, it's time for business now. Business President John Dramani Mahama has underscored the need for Africa to move beyond merely exporting raw materials and focus on producing finished goods, emphasizing the need for value addition before exporting. He noted that this long-standing issue of exporting raw materials has deprived the continent of essential economic benefits and impeded the creation of sustainable jobs and opportunities for African youth. The president spoke at the African Prosperity Dialogue in Accra.
We must move beyond being exporters of raw material to become producers of finished goods. Whether it is cocoa in Ghana, oil in Nigeria, copper in Zambia, or diamonds in Botswana, we must process and add value to our natural resources. By so doing, we'll not only increase our share of global trade, but also create sustainable jobs for our people, especially our young people. We must indigenize ownership of our natural resources. There's capital and technology available to us today to increase our participation in the exploitation of our natural resources. Our governments must therefore work hand in hand with the private sector to drive industrialization through special economic zones that encourage manufacturing and innovation, access to finance for small and medium-sized enterprises, which are the backbone of our economies.
The Majority Leader of Parliament, Mahama Yariga, has bemoaned the adverse impact of corruption on Africa's infrastructure development. According to him, the menace has a retrogressive effect, limiting opportunities and creating vulnerability across the continent. He spoke during a closing ceremony of the 2025 Africa Prosperity Dialogue in Accra.
The African Development Bank estimates that the continent faces an annual infrastructure financing gap of $100 billion, which urgently needs to be addressed to facilitate growth. The Majority Leader in Parliament, Mahama Yariga, considers this a major bottleneck in advancing growth and development in the continent. During the closing ceremony of the 2025 edition of the Africa Prosperity Dialogues in Accra, the Boku Central lawmaker stressed that tackling corruption head-on is crucial to bridging this infrastructure gap.
Corruption undermines Africa's infrastructure development by enabling diversion of funds, enabling inefficient project management, and unnecessarily increasing project costs. Corruption discourages investments and can skew projects' priorities. We must combat corruption. The model of designating and developing regional infrastructure corridors can be considered to promote trade and economic integration. For example, the West African Highway and the West African Power Pool.
However, when Kele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, highlighted the reduction of the cost of doing business on the continent through the introduction of the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPS.
We have established the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, which enables payment in local currency and as a tool to reduce the cost of trade in Africa. We established the AFCFTA Adjustment Fund. This year we are launching the AFCFTA Transit Guarantee Scheme, which will enable our trucks that move along the Abidjan-Lagos corridor to deposit one guarantee scheme to move across.
The 2025 Africa Prosperity Dialogues are themed Delivering Africa's Single Market through Infrastructure, Invest, Connect, Integrate.
Now, the issue of illegal gold mining and smuggling continues to drain Ghana's economy through illicit financial flows, prompting renewed calls for urgent government intervention. Stakeholders during the launch of a report on illicit financial flows in the gold sector emphasized the need for transparency and strengthened border control to curb the financial losses associated with the issue.
Ghana's gold industry remains a vital pillar of the economy, yet it is increasingly threatened by illegal mining and smuggling, resulting in substantial illicit financial flows. Corruption, misreporting, trade misinvoicing at various stages of the supply chain continue to drain national resources. However, a recent study by ISODEC mapped the risk of illicit financial flows in the gold sector, identifying key challenges that hinder efforts to curb these financial leakages and ensure that Ghana maximizes the benefits of its natural resources.
We have gold smuggling to be one, trade mispricing, tax evasion. Each stage has a high occurrence of IFF rates. So as a country and as stakeholders, governments, private, we should come together and look at identify risks and then try to mitigate them.
Speaking at the launch of the report, Director of Mining at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Benjamin Aye, highlighted the informal nature of the gold trade as a key barrier to tackling illicit flows and called for increased transparency, formalization, and stronger customs enforcement.
It's a matter of concern for us. We need to address it to ensure that we channel more of our resources into more profitable activities which will benefit us not just as individuals but the country at large.
The report, commissioned by Global Financial Integrity and funded by NORAD, recommends a multi-stakeholder approach, urging government to strengthen regulatory frameworks, enhance border security, and implement automated transactions monitoring systems. Stakeholders believe that tackling these systematic challenges is crucial to ensuring that Ghana's gold wealth benefits all citizens rather than fueling financial leakages that undermine national development.
Well, it's time for sports, and my boss, Joel Lechampo, is in the studio with the very latest.
All right, so we'll be giving you lots of sports updates here on the sports segment here on News Tonight. Don't go anywhere. Let's have our very first story, and Maxman Mauli Wayo got the only goal of the night from a spot kick in the 50th minute to ensure Accra Hearts of Oak return to winning ways in their matchday 19 fixture against Pando Hearts of Lions. Penalty coolly converted by proved decisive in securing all 3 points for the Phobians at the University of Ghana Stadium. The win has lifted Hearts to 4th place on the league table, level on points with Lions and just 1 point behind leaders Asante Kotoko. Lions have now managed a win in their last 4 games but remain in 3rd place, still in contention for top 4. The Phobians will now look to build on the momentum as they aim to challenge for the league title, while Lions will need to regroup and find consistency to stay in the title race. With the Ghana Premier League is match day 19 in the Ghana Premier League, and games will be played tomorrow at the various league centers. And league leaders Kumasi Asante Kotoko will be looking to stretch the lead as on the summit as they play against Instraterman FC. So Vision FC will be playing Accra Lions in their fixture, whilst Instraterman will be taking on Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Karela United will be squaring it off with Brekum Chelsea, and we'll see Mediama host Legon Cities in their game. Adriana Stars will also be playing Bechen United, and Gold Stars FC, Bibiani Gold Stars, will be welcoming League Defenders FC Samatex in their fixture. So Nations FC will also be in Kumasi, and they will take on Young Apostles, whilst we've got Dreams FC locking horns with Baseke Holy Stars. So these are the fixtures for games coming up at the various league centers here in Ghana tomorrow. All right, let's now bring you something on boxing. And Osmanu Sabo Haruna successfully retained his WBO Africa Heavyweight title, stopping Nigeria's Idris Afini in a 7th round at the Idro Event Center in Dansoman. Despite high expectations, the bout failed to deliver on an electrifying contest, with Afini spending much of the fight clinching and evading engagement. The title defense headlined the Kabik Fight Night, which featured 17 bouts involving boxers from Niger, Benin, Togo, and Nigeria. Osmanu, now with records of 16 wins, 3 losses and 11 knockouts, faced Afini in a rematch of their December 2023 encounter, which ended in his favor after an accidental headbutt in round 6 caused a cut under his left eye. Afini, aiming to improve his 15-8-2 records with 12 knockouts, struggled to match the champion's intensity. Despite the lackluster exchanges, Osmanu broke down his opponent in a well-placed body and head shots, ultimately forcing Afini to retire in the 7th round. In another highlight of the night, Kelvin Abraham extended his unbeaten streak to 6 wins by knocking out Kofi Ansah Raymond in the 2nd round of their light heavyweight contest. Although the 1st round saw limited action, Abraham found precise jabs before delivering a cruising left hook in round 2, sending Ansah Raymond to the canvas for the count. A jubilant Abraham celebrated his victory, vowing to remain in focus in his pursuit of a world title for Ghana. All right, before we end, let's bring you some results in the English Premier League games that were played today. Remember, games are coming up tomorrow as well. In the first game, we saw Ipswich losing at home. 2-1, they lost to Southampton in their game there. Ipswich Town losing at home 2-1. Aribo and Unachu were on the score sheet for their side. And Bournemouth, unfortunately, also lost 2-0. Mo Salah was on the score sheet for Liverpool in this particular one. They won by 2 goals to 0. Still on top of the English Premier League, Liverpool there. And also other games that were played. This was actually Ipswich who took on Southampton in the game that was played today. Well, so these are some of the results that were played in the English Premier League. We've got Newcastle United also, who lost at home 2-1 in their game against Fulham FC in that order. So Newcastle were losers at home in this particular one. Jimenez and Muniz all on the score sheet for their side, Fulham, in this game. All right, so Manchester United is definitely going to be playing tomorrow in the English Premier League. That's all for sports here. So these are the games: Brentford, Spurs, Man United, Crystal Palace, Arsenal, and Manchester City in that order. These are fixtures coming up later tomorrow in the English Premier League. That's all for sports here on News Tonight with me, Joel Champon.
Right, thank you so much, Joel, for bringing us sports news. And now on to the international front. South African leaders have agreed to maintain peacekeeping forces in eastern DR Congo after Rwanda-backed rebels seized the regional hub. The decision was made at an extraordinary meeting of the Southern African Development Committee, SADC, in Zimbabwe on Friday. The group's chairman, Zimbabwe President, called for bold and decisive steps to boost the force. The SADC military mission suffered heavy issues and losses last week, with around a dozen soldiers from South Africa, Malawi, and Tanzania killed as the M23 rebels seized control of Goma. The rebels have said they want to take their fight to the far-off capital, while Congo's president has called for a massive military mobilization to resist the rebellion. And that'll be all for News Tonight here on GHOne Television. With me, Awisi, Dede, Djangay. Have a good evening.